talked a lot about human, and the conversation that I had with Cyrill, it's quite apparent that he's a superhuman. A biathlon, he runs, he shoots, he's a near professional skier. So, you know, we're very lucky to have you here. So come on in, and Cyrill is going to use slightly different technology, which is a lot braver than I am, certainly.
Thank you for that. Can you hear me? Yep. I need to move it a bit up. Thank you for that introduction. We were talking a lot about human, being human, turning human. I really like your approach. I liked your introduction very much too, because it really brings up what the past 2 years have changed. I'm going to talk much more about technology, but CX human-focused technology. We are all email users. We are all getting heaps of emails, and I think the number of emails we receive has even piled up or increased during the pandemic. So has the number of, let's say, boring emails. And what I am aiming at is to make email less boring by put interactivity into emails that leads to better conversation because the user experience gets higher. And that's what we're going to talk about now. But what actually makes an email interactive? It's when an action performed in an email triggers another action within the same email. So we all know the classic email approach. You have some text, you have some pictures, and you have a link or a button. It's just, I click there and I don't know what happens. So when I build interactive email, you click somewhere and then in the email something happens. I'm going to give you a few examples, give you some inspiration of what we have done, some showcases we have produced. The first one, we all know the surveys. We get surveys, we get feedback requests on emails. They often say, oh, your feedback is so valuable, we like you, share it with us, click on that button. Who really likes to click on that button? Who really clicks? I usually don't. But what we started to do is we put the entire survey right in the email. So you see, I switched to the mail client on my iPad. That's why I use this one to present. And we see the first question of our survey already right in the inbox. I answer it, and I can go to the next question. I can go through the whole survey right in the inbox. Much more streamlined user experience, much quicker. I will talk about the result we saw in A/B tests with this right in a minute. Another one is the ratings and reviews directly in an email. We all know these 5-star ratings we get after we buy a product, after we did a customer service call, or after a project. It's often a button telling us, take the survey, give us a rating. But what we're going to do is we let the people do the rating in the email, including, you see, I can choose, I can change the star rating I have here, including the feedback. I can type right in the email. Don't leave the inbox, have it everything right at one click. That has a significant impact on the performance we can reach because, again here, we increase the user experience. We don't have an additional click. We don't have a boring button where we never know what's going to be behind. Another big thing is you register for an event. How many of us have had to type in our personal data into a small keyboard on a mobile phone over and over again? The pre-fill gets better, but if you use 3 different email addresses, it's always a hassle to get the right one. So that's actually the point where I started. I was fed up of always typing my data on a mobile phone. So I tried to put a form in an email. And I was very surprised how well it worked. What we have done here is that for booking an appointment, you can choose the place. This could be an event. This could be a type of contact or a person you like to go to meet. You can choose the date. You can choose the time. And the contact data you see in the email is already pre-filled. Because for sure, in the email system, we always have your contact data. So that brings us a much easier way to register, to handle, to book an appointment, and it has a significant impact. I think we have some people from the car industry here, right? Because we are going more into gamification now. This is for you guys, fasten your seatbelts. Because we all know the most used page on a car manufacturer's website is the configurator. We like to play around. We are all playful. Even a manager, it doesn't matter whether it's Dacia or Porsche. Everyone likes to try to see how it looks. How about putting that into an email? Not just on the website, but right in the email, we can start to play around. Come. You see here, we have the email. I'm still in the inbox. The pictures load a bit slower right now. Now here we are. I can choose the color. I can choose the direction I want to see the car. I can choose other options. We can play around with a range calculator if we want. And that works all in the inbox as a perfect way how we can catch the user's attention, how we can make them want to try more, and can link them to a service, to an experience we build online. And this is a showcase example, but this should display, should be like an icon what we can start to build in an email rather than just a picture. Maybe we use animated GIFs, but this goes much further and helps the user to integrate, to start off much, much quicker. We have some sports equipment companies here too, some big brands I know. We see the same kind of approach we can do with any sort of product. We have done it with the sneakers too. It's as well a showcase to test where the technology can go. We can, if we want, we can choose how our sneaker should look like. I just build it in the email, and in a second step, I can order right away and bring the user onto the sales channel and gather the data, gather the interest data much quicker, and bring them to a much more streamlined experience. Last but not least, we have put that shop experience even one step forward. We have built a shop tool, including a basket, right in the email. So we open the email in the mailbox. We see the products. We have some hero products, and we can add our products to the basket right here in the email, and we can order it from within the email. We are using two approaches here. One is for B2B, where we can directly execute an order towards an ERP system. Oops. That can always happen if you showcase. I need to talk to my colleague why this happened. That's the risk of doing live audiences. But the approach is you either go right into the ERP system if you have a B2B contract behind with this particular wine and whiskey trading company. It's targeted to restaurants and gross sailors, so they will deliver the products with the next supply run. Or with the B2C audience, we go right into the online shop, create a basket, and bring the user into the checkout process. So this is a very good opportunity for fast-moving consumer goods, where you can bring the user right from the email into the checkout. For sure, the credit card payment needs to be done on the eShop backend, but we take all the rest of the steps up front right into the inbox. And for sure, we could go even one step further. Most of you might know the dash button from Amazon, or you tell Alexa, order me my favorite pizza. We could go in a similar way that even the payment process is completely automated in such a use case. And that's being said all in the inbox. There is no landing page behind in terms of the decision making. We have put a hall of fame of this kind of use cases. There are a few more. We have built the advent calendar, for example, that runs completely in the email. It's a bit short notice to do it for this year. That's why I didn't show it live on stage. We have a menu plan where you can switch through the daily menus of an entire week and of different restaurants, all in the email. Go there, try to play around. Some of the examples you even can send to your own inbox to have a look how it really renders. How do we get that working? How does it work? In the end, it's a bit of technology. Some of you know HTML. There is a lot of HTML coding in it for Apple and Samsung devices mainly, and a few others. Google has, you might have heard of it, launched AMP for email. This is like a proprietary technology from Google, which they published into open source just recently, that allows to make interactive email on the entire Gmail platform and a few platforms more. We can do some use cases even for Outlook with adaptive cards. It's a technology by Microsoft. Some of you maybe know this daily briefing you receive from Microsoft every morning. They have built some of those features in there. And very important, we need a reliable fallback. There are still email clients out there who doesn't support all those nifty, cool stuff. What is important is that we have a fallback that is not worse than the classic image, button, landing page approach. We usually are able, even for those clients, to increase the user experience by providing the entire UI, but you just jump out to the browser view of the email later. Said that, it doesn't work on each and every single email client because there is such a huge landscape of different clients. It's unfortunately not as standardized as the web browsers, but the good news is we see the majority of clients supporting it, especially in a B2C environment. This numbers comes from Litmus, which is an email industry, very strong email industry company. They do a lot of analytics, and it matches with our own statistics. About between 50 and 60% of the clients used by end users support the HTML technology. Then we have somewhere between 20 and 35% Gmail, which we can address with AMP. In B2C, Outlook is luckily very much down. So we have only like 6% that need the Outlook treatment, and then we have a few percent of email clients who doesn't support anything, which really needs this fallback I was mentioning before. And what we have measured is that the feedback, the conversion that comes from this kind of email, that comes directly from the inbox, is significantly higher than the share of the clients that support it. So we usually see between 55 and up to 70% of the feedback coming from these HTML clients. So we really see with the numbers of conversions a clear uplift. And that leads me to the impact. I think that's the moment you've all been waiting for. What does it really create in the numbers? The direct order experience, where you really in the email can already choose your product, has led to, in an A/B test we have run with a major telco in Switzerland, run to a 14% uplift in conversion volume turnover. The event registration with a form you don't have to type by hand, which is already pre-filled, with a very seamless email to registration process, has brought us 27% more subscriptions for an event. The survey is even more massive. If we put that entire survey I have shown as the first example into the email, in an A/B test we have seen 78% more survey response, meaning surveys that were fulfilled. And it was exactly the same survey in the B variant behind that "Take me to the survey" button. And the rating and review, this is a project we do with a partner company, with a huge market rating and review company. They see, depending a bit on the customer and the use case, between 50 and 200% more ratings through the inbox submission, where you can do everything in the inbox. And that's massive, especially if you have a new product, especially you consider the user-generated content, how much it counts, how much all those rating counts, how much it helps if it's syndicated on Google and other platforms to boost your product in the search rankings. This is a massive impact and can give you a good competitive advantage towards others who don't accelerate their ratings so quick. How can we get started with this kind of technology? It sounds all very complex, especially if you're not so deep into it as I am. The first step is we should think about the use cases, where we can use it. Can use it like a investment performance calculator, fashion. If I'm in a fashion brand, I can choose the color and the size of my T-shirt. I can see several pictures of my T-shirt in the email before I get the order. There are plenty of use cases. There insurances can roughly calculate an offer. Then choose one of the use cases, one of the low-hanging fruits, to build a pilot campaign, to build a first iconic campaign I can send to a limited number of users to find out whether it really works, how it is adopted by the audience. Measure the numbers, measure the conversions, measure the interactions. Then calculate it into potential further use cases, into business cases. Is it really, how much does it bring? Does it pay out the costs? In many cases it does. And then in the end, roll it out. Talking back to the cost, it can even be that it might not improve the conversion, but it might lower the cost. We have done one project where we substituted web landing pages, repeatedly built web landing pages, where we could save 10,000 of Swiss francs for a client because they did not have to build the landing pages. Or in another case, we couldn't build one campaign on a website because of compliance, but the email system had the compliance to process this data. So in the end, the interactive email saved the campaign because we could build everything on that one system. So it can help to do projects which you can't do in some cases. And it's a question, do it or not? I have put a small decision tree which you can follow, and it starts actually at two different sides. What you think of. One thing is, do I want to do a real performance campaign where it's just to get more turnover, or is it about a branding, an iconic campaign where I want to bring my brand on top of mind at the user, to show I am innovative, to show I'm a front runner in the industry, and based on that, giving the more complex building of the email, creating a bit higher costs in the campaign development, putting in contrast to your audience size, to your expected performance, or to the budget, the investment you want to do in your branding, it leads you to the point where you can say, okay, it's worth to do it, or we still stick to the boring emails. If you're interested in how to start, sure, we can help. We have built a platform called MAYORIS to create this kind of emails easier without knowing all the coding, without needing a super nerd in your team to build that, but having a platform in the backend that can do the job for you. You can get this presentation right in your inbox, because talking about interactive email, I present an interactive email. Just go to maylix.com/cx21, click on that email icon, and you can send it right to your inbox. We are here for today and tomorrow. We have our room, so those who don't have scheduled a meeting and like to talk to us, pass by. I'm happy to share as well a few more examples.
Good man. So I think containment, convenience, engagement, immersion sounds fantastic. I'll definitely be downloading a copy of that and talking to you guys.
Great, thank you.
Do you have some questions? From
Yes, Cyrill's been quite popular online, so we've got quite a few. A couple of questions around how this works in terms of, is it blocked in Outlook and is it integrated into Salesforce?
First, the entire topic of blocking and Outlook. What I was saying is there are some features you can do on Outlook, some you can't, but for those you can't, we always build a solid fallback that looks upfront exactly like the interactive part, but when you click it, it's executed in the browser. So there is the only difference in the user experience is that you have a loading sequence in a browser in between. But the rest is exactly the same. Or we can link to do it the traditional way that if you click on the interactive email, we can link into a landing page. That's still possible too. The second thing, Salesforce has some interactive features built in. I know those guys who have built it there. They're doing a great job, especially in the terms of survey and forms. But on other, they didn't go that far. So our aim is, on one hand side, we want to provide the same functionality as the basic functionality, but we want to go much further with this, like in-mail shop and the configurators and all those advanced examples.
I have another question from Thomas is asking about, what about form analytics within email? Can you monitor field errors and field drop-offs?
Up to a certain point, we can monitor it right in the email. We always do a server-side monitoring, and we can kick back on the email form to adjust if the data is not there. And especially, for example, with this online shop, we have built a technology that we can prevent manipulating the prices and those data that is sent in the email.
And I'll finish on this one, and then I'll let you go. Are these kind of interactive gamification models possible in other channels, for example, WhatsApp?
This I haven't tried, honestly, because we really try to bring that interactivity into email. I don't know too much what is possible in WhatsApp. I don't know where how advanced their email processor is, how much they strip out, not email processor, HTML processor, how much they strip out or not. It's something that could be tried.
Good. I've got tons more for you, but I'll email them to you.
Is there any questions from the audience? I have one around payment gateways. So is that embedded within the email, or do you take the customer, if they want to buy something, you don't have stored payment details, are you taking them out, or is that contained within your interactive email?
That always must be done in the backend,
right?
Because we cannot do all that required security and payment checks in the background out of an email. we build it as secure as possible. I mentioned before with the prices and such, we use some cryptography to build checksums and everything to make sure that it cannot be manipulated in the email. We always use SSL to encrypt the data that goes from the email to a server. But the payment part should be done within the existing backend. But we can integrate with that for sure.
Sure. Okay.
There was one other question I wanted to get to. Victoria's telling me I've got more time. Can they do app ratings in app stores within the email? App ratings.
For an app?
Can they do app rating in app stories within the email?
I mean, we can do any sort of rating in theory in an email.
Right.
And when it's about, like you have an app, you haven't used it for long, you want to ask, how do you rate the app? You liked it, and you want to bring that ratings back to Google or Apple stores. We would need to see, we haven't done that yet, but I don't know how you can sync back to those stores with those rating figures. We need to talk back to people who are familiar with those APIs. But in theory, I think it should be possible.
Good. You've got a lot of fans online, so a lot of interest.